Okay, so it's time to build and set up our cat treadmill. So just for reference, this took me about 2 hours. I was watching TV at the same time, so maybe that slowed me down. The first step is to put all of these screw anchors in. You can push them in with your fingers like that. I found a lot of them to be pretty easy to push in. I ended up just using the screwdriver because I was too lazy to go get my hammer. And this worked a lot better, and it saved the tips of my fingers because there are a lot of these. This was probably the most tedious part of this build, but it is the first thing you do, so you just get it out of the way. Now we've got these little wheels. A bolt slides through the wheel. Then you're going to slide this through a plank, and then there's a little nut that goes on the other side. And we're going to do this 4 times on 2 planks. So 2 per plank is what I mean. And then they also give you this tiny little wrench as well to tighten up the bolt and nut. So that's nice. It's pretty small, so it's a little bit frustrating to use. I don't think this being really tight matters that much either. This just kind of keeps the wheel from any lateral movement. So that's all 4 complete. And we're going to move on to the next step, which is very similar. We're actually going to be installing these casters now. So this is what the wheel actually spins on. And we got these little blue screws to screw them in. Now the holes go right through to the other side, as you can see, so it doesn't matter which side you put the wheels on. And I'm just going to speed this up a little bit because you don't want to watch me screwing these in. But this is an easy step. Since everything's symmetrical, it's kind of hard to screw up. You can't really put it on backwards or upside down or anything like that. I'm going diagonally just because I think that's a good way to tighten stuff, kind of like a wheel on a car. The screws do not poke out the other side. I double checked. And one thing I noticed at this point is that the screwdriver they give you is also magnetized. So that was a nice surprise. And all 4 casters are on, so we can move on to the next step. And these are feeling pretty solid. All right, so now we are starting to build the base. Now, there's this little metal nut in there. You want to make sure that the hexagonal shape is facing inside. And if I flip it over, you can see it's round on this side. We want that facing outward, just like this, because the lock is going to screw in there later on. So this part's a little bit frustrating because you kind of have to hold the piece upright and then also screw from the bottom. But I was able to figure it out, so I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out too. We're going to do this twice, 1 for each side, just like that. And then we put the other side of the base on. It's slotted in pretty easily, everything fit, and then there's 4 screws per side, so 8 in total. And then we got the base done. So that was pretty quick. Like I said, putting in those little yellow anchors was probably the worst part. I think this took maybe 30 minutes. So building the wheel. We've got the same issue here where we kind of got to hold it together and screw it in from the other side. This one plank has a rectangle hole in it. Now the instructions say to randomly place this. What they mean is it's arbitrary. It really doesn't matter where you put it because the wheel rotates. As long as it's in there, it's fine. So it doesn't matter where the one with the hole goes. So I got them standing up like this, and then this is our first look at the joint for the rim of the wheel. It's pretty easy. Some of these have two screw holes in them, so we'll just set that up right there. And then we're going to put the top pieces on over top here. And done. Pretty easy. The joint was pretty easy. Just put them screwed in the holes, I guess. It's looking pretty good so far. This took a while for me. So at this point I noticed they forgot to screw a hole. I'm actually missing a hole here. So a little bit irritating. I had to backtrack a little bit. I was able to just loosen up these parts, pull it out, and I screwed in a new hole myself. So you can see it's a little bit off, but it did the trick. Moving on, this is the other side of the joint. So yeah, it's just this little piece with 4 holes, as you can see. And then we put these bolts in. And they're going into actual like metal inserts on the other side, so it's super sturdy. And I finally have the wheel complete. This was the most time-consuming thing. This is the first test spin, and Miso is interested, although she's a little timid. And yeah, it feels really good at this point. So this is the lock. It just kind of, you slide it up and down like that. So they recommend that you lock it when it's not in use. I think we're just going to lock it at nighttime because it is in our bedroom, or it will be in our bedroom, and it's a little bit loud. So I just want to read step 18 here. Put black belt back glue mother-in-law. Yeah, so they aren't super clear. Thankfully, it's pretty straightforward, so that doesn't really matter. Here we're putting the Velcro on. Now, I'm not going to put it right up against the rim because there is a little bit of an edge here. And then we've got 2, I guess, lateral strips or sideways strips we're going to put in. So the glue on this is extremely sticky. It's good stuff. I'm impressed with it. So when you place it down, just make sure that you're putting it down where you want it to be, because it's hard to peel up. But I did manage to peel it up when I made a mistake. It's a little bit frustrating just because you have that coil of Velcro kind of fighting against you, but I got it done. You don't have to crank your neck around or anything like that because it's obviously a rotating wheel. And then you just cut it with some scissors to length. You got a little piece of paper there I'm going to pull off. And it fits perfectly at the length I cut it. So at this point, I got 2 strips running around the rim, and then I'm going to put these horizontal strips in. Now, I did notice that it's going to be more effective to put them about a 1/2 inch apart because the end of the carpet doesn't have Velcro. So it needs a little bit of space there if you want like full contact with the Velcro. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense the way I said it, but don't put them right up against each other. Put them with a little bit of space like I did here. So the next step is to roll the carpet on, and then we're done after that. So I actually rolled the carpet up and placed it, and then I was just able to roll the wheel and unroll the carpet. I felt super smart doing this. It made this process super duper easy because I thought it was going to be frustrating. So I'd highly recommend rolling up the carpet sort of inside out like that, and it should make this process like super duper easy. So there it is. It fits perfectly. And overall, I would say this was a pretty easy build. Nothing really irritated me except for that hole that they forgot to drill, but luckily I do own a drill, so I was able to fix that. If you don't own a drill, I'm sure they would send you another part, but I mean, that's pretty irritating. You shouldn't have to deal with that. But overall, I did find the quality of it is impressive, I would say, especially the wood. And spinning it, we've had it for a couple days now. The cats aren't like super into it quite yet, but it's really smooth. Oh, and I should mention that they give you a whole bunch of like leftover hardware. So there's a whole bunch of stuff left over. We even have some Velcro left over. And they also gave me a little sanding pad, I guess in case there were like burrs or splinters, but I didn't need it.